Greetings. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Robert.
I'm the guy on the right side in that photograph.
Which leaves me to be the guy on the left.
And if you're not familiar with GI Joburg, we're the two chief criminals responsible for the Atlantis Factor videos.
Yeah, well, mainly just because Paul isn't in Cape Town with us, so he's done behind the scenes things.
Oh yes, all the original music on the Atlantis Factor and the GI Joburg reviews is all Paul's original work.
He's amazing.
And we thank Sunbow for the very rest. Every last note. So without further ado, let's get into a commentary track on the Atlantis Factors, parts 1 to 5. We open with a rather cloudy day at the beach.
Yes, you'll notice the weather changes a lot as we do these things.
But it's consistently inconsistent, which I suppose means that it was a very mixed up kind of day.
Yeah, and also this was the part 1, or at least this first part, we filmed in a day. All the other ones took at least 2 days.
Part 2, I think we managed to hammer out in a day, but it was a very long day. We'll get into the details of that a little bit later. But here we are, creeping into focus right now. I'm on the right, and Rob's on the left.
It always works out like that. Isn't that amazing? We managed to get that thing attached and flying.
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone, at least on the internet, has documented rigging up a transportable tactile battle platform like that.
Yeah, it's difficult. That's probably why they haven't done it.
Well, it's also, yeah, it's frightening. I mean, those little tabs are 35 years old, and yeah, easily broken, I presume, under the playset's weight. But this video wasn't meant to happen. We had scheduled to shoot the Ghost Striker that day. I was going to get some nice sunset shots with Table Mountain in the background, finally taking advantage of this sort of Cape Town scenery. But because the weather was so inclement, Rob and I headed off to a usual spot, and we just had the notion of shooting the transportable tactical battle platform being hoisted by dragonflies. The fact that there was a plot that emerged, that was a bit of an impromptu thing.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it became something really big. I mean, this was probably like a 5-minute video, and suddenly became a 5-part, 40-minute-ish video.
Yeah, once we'd done the initial shot of the thing being deployed, I thought, cool, let's have a battle with a moray. Rob, being the sensible member of this particular team, reasoned that we wouldn't have time to do that, so let's release that as a second part.
Yeah.
And the first part, let's rather just focus on the battle platform, show off its features, make it like a review, but without dropping the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, so it's a story, but we kind of focused on the TTPB.
Yeah, I'll let that one slide.
Oh, BP.
Whatever. So yeah, there is a lot of attention given to its attributes, the hook, the armory, the miniguns with that radome which is always broken off.
And all the stickers. I mean, the stickers are quite cool as well. I mean, I'm not going to question the placement. I imagine they all were placed by the original owner quite well. Unless you placed them?
The original owner placed them exceptionally well.
Oh,
and they are...
some Prestic.
Of course. Or Blue Tack for our internationals. And this is an Action Force TTBP. As you can see, there's the sticker. I got it in Bournemouth, in the United Kingdom. Of all places.
Huh. So if you're wondering what that thing is around my neck, it's like a weird little monkey thing. I think we were going to use to like keep things dry, or at least like the camera. We never used it for that. I just wore it for the rest of the shoot.
Yeah, keeping things wet was far more photogenic.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you noticed earlier we did like a cool little like shot that tracks under the water. You'll notice we do that a couple of times. I think Stephen, he's quite enamored with long shots, moving shots,
GoPro shots, underwater shots.
Yeah, this was the second video we filmed with the GoPro, right? The first one was the
Barracuda. Yeah. Oh, it feels like a long time ago now. It's like 6 months ago, yeah.
It's amazing. And it all came together. I mean, a lot of people seem to have enjoyed, or at least I hope you guys have enjoyed this.
It was exactly what we're describing. It was a complete evolution. The stories became more involved, but there was no plan at the outset. We were very Larry Harmer in our plotting. But what became quite endearing from this series was it showcased the unsung heroes of G.I. Joe. For instance, Barbecue and Airtight have wormed their way into my heart big time after this series. There's some of that inclement weather showing itself.
Yeah.
It really started to hose at this point, and there was a naked guy. There was a naked guy just off camera. I guess it was time for his weekly bath, and then he proceeded to start reading a book on a Sunday afternoon in the nude. Yay for reading.
Guys, we've got company.
Yeah, fantastic, guys.
And our closer for episode 1 was, bam, the clincher, the encroaching moray, the threat. Part 2 was shot under much better conditions. Or worse if you're trying to keep from getting sunburned.
Yeah, because on the first one, we had spent a significant amount of time there, but because it was overcast, we did not get sunburned. But this one, wow.
We were totally exposed. There was no shade, we didn't bring an umbrella, and we most certainly didn't wear any sunblock, so idiots. But boy, does that Destro mask look incredible under sunlight.
Yeah,
even when it's not in focus.
And we even get to use the hydrofoil feature.
And the slow-mo on the GoPro. Oh yeah. You're seeing it at 1/3 speed at the moment.
Excellent.
Nice. It's just like we're filming in the 80s, you know, that's kind of how they did those car chases. Sped it up.
Totally, sped it up, slowed it down. Credits to Paul Loebshaw once again. His music suited this scene down to a T. And Alpine, another great bit of characterization. He gets a time to shine on this episode.
Yeah, he takes the fight straight to Cobra. It's nice that they're all ready, you know, they're all getting ready to like shoot each other and they're responding very aptly and very professionally.
Yep, every Joe knows his station. But of course, the trump card, we need our air supports. And who better to be air support than Flint? It's kind of a role of his that he really, you know, his usefulness to the team kind of stripped away from him. He is an exceptional pilot.
Yeah, but he's always just put in charge.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't get to fly anything. I'm sure he enjoyed this mission.
He's a glory hound. Doesn't like to be soaring above, he wants to be in the thick of things. People have asked me, should I not get some lens flashes or sort of muzzle burst effects. They say it's pretty easy to add. I'm terrified of special effects because that's a slippery slope. You know, where do you stop? We're doing this live puppeting, hands in the shots. We're very aware of it, and it's part of the charm.
Well, I mean, I showed a couple of my friends this, and the one guy was like, "You should wear those green suits, and then you can, put yourself out, so you don't see yourself anymore." But yeah, it's part of what it is. You see us playing with the toys and creating the story. It's very much an adult recreation of what we did as kids.
And given my lack of technical expertise, I can only imagine us romping around in green suits and trying to like remove that in the computer afterwards would look embarrassing and really just ruin the shot. So, yeah, unless someone can prove me otherwise, this is how we're going to shoot these things.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's all in camera. There's nothing extra added, which makes it, I mean,
Christopher
you don't
Nolan.
have to worry about things. Exactly.
Totally.
Chris Nolan, that's how we're doing this.
Us and him.
We're
Forever.
the best. Dark Knight. Forever.
Yep. Dunkirk. You're watching Dunkirk right now. This is from the outtake reel.
When he comes about, I want
Firefly doing what he does best.
Cut him in half.
Yeah, we got some good use out of him. He tries at least one other time in Atlantis Factor to blow something up.
Well, here he succeeds.
Yeah.
The TTBP is out of commission. GI Joe have lost this part of the fight.
And it looks like Cobra's going to finish them off. Or are they?
Well, just as Cobra had their hidden ace,
We had our hidden flint.
oh, that mask. Love it. And of course, straight after they went into the drink, the damn moray decided to sink as well. That thing is not the most buoyant. Granted, we were demanding quite a lot out of it, but pretty much every time it was left unattended, it hit the bottom of this shallow little...
Yeah, it was going under. I think with most of the vehicles that we used in the water, they did end up not living up to the claim that they can float in water effectively.
Once again, Paul W.H.A.L.E scoring. It fit the tone of this kind of search quite nicely.
Where are you, buddy?
What I also like about the series is that we start out here in the in kind of like a watery area, and you can very obviously see the buildings in the background. But I think as we go along, we kind of were able to cut out a lot of what makes it not look like these are real things. I mean, obviously they're toys, but it became more and more like to scale, which I quite like.
Yeah.
So it looks
yeah.
more real.
The more you can eliminate real human clutter, the better the suspension of disbelief. Yeah, I got more, I suppose,
Adventurous, or at least more
discerning
Discerning.
with my location choices. Oh, a friend of ours on Facebook commented that he cringed when he saw this fang fall out of the sky. Because, yeah, we're playing with these robustly, but let's not lose sight of the fact that these are all 25 to 35 year old toys. Oh, bam! There it is.
Yeah, dead.
A little bit of fourth wall breaking, particularly when you consider that we are so present in the shot. You've got to acknowledge it. Every time you kind of caught in the camera's gaze, I'd say, yeah, it's healthy to give it a little nod like that.
And here comes the feature of part 3,
Oh,
the
yeah.
whale.
Get the let out, Joes. We're packing this in and heading upriver.
Cutter, I don't think I'd nailed his accident by this point, but yeah, creature
We're about
comforts.
to show Cobra who's really in charge here.
Oof.
In case you were worried, Destro did survive.
Oh yeah. And since we don't see him again, it's anybody's guess as to what happened to Destro. We do get to see Firefly, ironically, but Cobra's second in charge is nowhere to be seen. Nor is Cobra's first in charge. Now, what's cool about the last location and this one is they're all very close to either home or work. This location is literally 10 minutes walk away from where Rob works.
Yes, which was fantastic because I think it was very difficult to kind of get us to film this one, so we managed to do it in the hour or so before sunset and after I finished work. And I think this is probably one of the better... I mean, they're all good, but I really like this location. It was amazing.
Gave us everything we needed, which is ironic because, you know, there are buildings all around, but fortunately the greenery was so lush and so thick that you could pretty much frame it out.
Yeah.
And of course it had the perfect depth because, you know, this had to be a piece of river that you couldn't take a regular hulled boat, something where a hovercraft could really shine because, yes, it is sort of riding on a cushion of air above water and rocks. But of course Zartan can exploit a hovercraft's weaknesses.
So this was also this part where was the only part where we filmed and we actually, well, at least initially managed to lose something, but eventually find it again. Actually, we lost two things. We lost a tire. I found it again, and through careful combing of the footage, we realized we had also lost
the scout bike.
The scout bike.
Oh, yes.
So useful.
The wheels from the bottom side of the whale, you always take it for granted that they are pretty securely held by those teeth or those claws. Teeth or claws. Yeah, the claw grips. But yeah, it's possible for them to dislodge, particularly if you are dragging the base of the craft over less than even terrain. Rob managed to find it in some reeds, this little black tire, and beside a snake, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was a snake there. I was like, okay, I'm not going back there again.
Barbecue, once again, taking the spotlight.
It's a great accent, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Who needs muzzle flares when you just have camera shake?
It's perfect. I mean,
Of course they're going full auto over there.
you can tell because everything's shaking.
Yeah. As is the cameraman, because he's craning over these toys while trying to keep his butt dry.
Yeah, I think of the two of us, I'm a lot more precious about getting wet. Steven's like, he'll lie down in the water to get the shot.
Oh yeah, let it run into my mouth. Meanwhile, this is like an urban waterway. There are like a pair of shoes just half a meter upstream. Whoa! That was not intended to be slow-mo, but you have to give him his fireman leap.
This is very much $6 million man.
Yep. And away they go.
This is also, I think, the shortest episode.
Could have fooled me.
I don't know. I just remember one of them being quite short, and then one part was like majorly bigger. I think that's part 4. It's like 13 minutes long.
Yeah, part 4, as it should be, because that's where the meat of the action happens and finds resolution. The part 5 is somewhat of a denouement because things plateau and then there's a come down. There's more grace and less pace in the sort of the dogfight. But this one is perhaps our crisis moment, our lowest ebb, because they really are whittled down. All the Joes are crammed onto this one whale, and they've got a very nimble and potent enemy. Death from above.
So how did you find that motorbike?
Oh wow. Well, the footage that you combed through suggested that it came off when the whale beached itself.
Yeah.
The second whale. So this was after dark, of course, because I wasn't going to leave it till daybreak. I was going to strike while the whole location was still fresh in my memory. I combed that little spit of land, which is covered in grass, of course, combed it with a torch in ever-decreasing circles until eventually I was like turning on my own tail. I reasoned, it cannot be here. Then you happened to shoot me a message saying, hang on, it could have also come off before we beached the whale.
Yeah.
Because there's a gap where it's just not there. You could probably, the cuts are too quick, but it came off into the water just before it beached itself. So it got swept away by the current. I reasoned that if I dropped something of similar size and weight into the water and follow it, I'd be able to notice where that obstacle or object would meet obstacles or get snagged. And yep, it worked. I followed it all the way to this little eddy in the water, and there, bobbing, this sort of little black plastic shape in the moonlight, was the scout bike. Nothing was lost or broken in the shooting of Atlantis Factors 1 through 5. No plastic animals were harmed during the filming of this video.
Which I find absolutely incredible, because I mean, we really did go to a lot of locations. We took a lot of vehicles. So it's amazing that we didn't lose a single thing. I'm flabbergasted.
Little character moment for Shipwreck. Can he make up for the fact that he's a screw up? Only time will tell. But he's got barbecue with him. Blue Ranger, Red Ranger.
Was there a blue? Oh yeah, there was a Blue Ranger. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't he the one that got into adult film?
Yes.
My goodness.
And this is an interesting part because Stephen actually filmed this with someone else when I wasn't available to help out.
Yep, Alex Tops, buddy of mine, was manipulating the camera, and we're filming a Chap May vehicle. My goodness.
Well, which is nice. I mean, you got to feature something that eventually we got to turn into an entire video talking about non-Joe vehicles that work with Joe.
Yep. Well, it's to this day the biggest hole in GI Joe's vehicle pool. A nice big transport plane. But it photographs so well. Gee whiz. I mean, that is the classic, cameraman tumbling out ahead of the jumper kind of shot.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's great to do this with toys. I can't imagine what hell it must be to try and work these shots out where you remove your hands.
I don't think it's. I mean, it's possible, I'm sure, but it really wouldn't work.
You wouldn't be able to get the same amount of character out of the figures, and also, we've been doing this all our lives. We're kind of good at it. Like puppeteering these 3 3/4 inch figures, we understand the way they articulate, the weight of them, how they hold weapons, how we can make them look good, or at least look the best that they can.
What I'm curious about is those parachutes. What are those from?
Got those from 21st Century Toys.
Huh.
No, wait, I could be mistaken. BBI. They're not the same thing. But there was a time when they put out a line of paratroopers. Both sort of vintage World War II looking paratroopers and modern ones. The camo parachutes are the vintage, and the modern ones are just the plain green. Stalker. Too good for parachutes.
Well, you gotta get as many vehicles into this thing as possible, accessories, and the jump is a great vehicle accessory.
And one that will forever be linked to Stalker because that's how Larry Harmer penned it. Yep. Didn't have Grand Slam or Flash or one of the guys wearing the protective uniforms flying around on that thing. Nope, in issue number 1 of A Real American Hero, it was Stalker.
So now we're at our third location, and this is a quarry, quite near actually to Table Mountain, and quite a distance away from our other 2 locations. But now it's actually quite close to both our homes, so it was also quite easy to get there.
Yep. Just a brief 5 minutes painful walk with toys. I mean, it's always awkward trying to move these things. You don't want to pack them into a backpack or toss them into a big crate, so you're cradling them rather gingerly, but it can be awkward. So.
And then you go down this little this darkened, almost like an underground tunnel to get into this quarry. That's a bit of a moment.
Yep.
You don't know who you're gonna find on the other side.
Now, a lot of this is totally unscripted. I just wanted a construction montage, but kind of that is a bit done, and also there are challenging technical aspects to doing a construction montage. Much better to just show a lot of elbow grease, a lot of grunting, a lot of like getting it done the GI Joe way, and hopefully the audience fills in the blanks that yes, this whole thing has kind of been erected out of that one container.
Yeah.
Just kind of folds out with a bit of brute strength from time to time.
What's going on?
Repurposing of Breaker's mic with Breaker erroneously absent.
Well, maybe he'll be in our next story.
Yeah. It would be a shame to lose a slot just to gain a guy who essentially sits in the chair and does what Duke's doing in any case. Little emotional moment there. Like, those cutaways are important. Shows that, like, Gung Ho does have a response to the fact that Shipwreck and Barbecue might be doing a sacrifice play. Counterpointed with a bit of humor from Airtight over there.
He gets Duke back eventually, or at least he gets one over on Duke.
Well, it suddenly occurred to me just before we shot part 5 that yeah, he is a practical joker. He needs to, I don't know, play a joke. At least once.
How about we get you some shade there, Cutter? Sounds like
Yeah, more character moments. If you want to know why this episode is the longest, it's not necessarily because that is the longest action sequence. No. Far from it. It's the longest because it has the most setup. You know, the Joes have established their fortress. They now are able to adequately fight back.
And it's a nice change of pace. I mean, up to this point, there's been a lot of fighting. You kind of have to have a bit of a lull in the rhythm, I think. And it helps. It kind of builds, there's a tension, like where's Cobra coming from? What's going to happen next?
I've often wondered that myself.
Roadblock cracks a joke at Mutt's expense. This was scripted by Paul.
Wild animals if muzzled and well trained.
So we have Paul to thank for the yucks.
Oh, you think you're funny, huh? Nice one, Roadblock.
Dramatic pullout.
Yep, this is the second one. It's longer than the original one underwater, but it's so good.
Yeah, if you got to pull out, make it dramatic.
There's Cobra's response.
Yep, with a very well-timed music cue by Mr. Paul Obsher once again.
Shout out to Paul.
And the introduction of Scrap Iron.
Okay, men. Joe is nice and cozy in there.
He's in charge. He knows how to take down an enemy structure, but how does he do it?
Keep watching.
Get the assault systems pod set up and start bringing it down once the fireworks begin.
This is a nice selection of Cobra troops as well. They're all classic. At least, the classic Cobra enemy.
It was an essential when doing this first series that we didn't feature anything post 1985. And I know I break that convention by having the Chap-May vehicle, and also these Cobras are not their original blue shirt incarnations, but the troop class is a classic one. I'm really just limited by the fact that I don't have that many blue shirts. But yeah, I wanted to keep this a classic for all the purists out there. We'll get to the 90s eventually. Ninja Force are on the way.
Don't worry. For those Neon fans, we'll get there.
And then Rob can feature one of his favorite vehicles, the Ninja Battle Axe, of course. Or the Power Driver. Ooh.
And for anyone interested, we've now shifted away from the first day of shooting of this when I wasn't there. And now we're into the second day of shooting. Or was this the third? I think you said this was quite a long process.
I went out there to get a bit of coverage on my own. So this would be the third when I had you in tow, Rob.
Yes. Hey, I love that little moment.
You did it.
Wheels turning, dirt flying.
And a grim realization that, yeah, he's saved them, but at the cost of what? He's just wasted someone else.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's us or them. Once again, camera shake, standing in for any kind of special effects.
Well, you noticed we did fire a bit earlier with hand fire.
Yep. Did anyone else do fire like that?
Oh, here's some more in-camera special effects.
Yeah, who needs squibs? On set they actually use paintball guns that fire empty plastic pellets, and they call it dust hits. Yeah, so that's how you get puffs of smoke or debris from bullets in the magic of cinema. There's a crack-shot paintball gun guy just standing above frame, firing at the dirt.
Better not hit the actors.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, he's too pretty. Stalker getting a time to shine. Of course, we don't see him again. He must have flown back to base.
It was like, I'm done. There's some really big insects in this world.
Oh yeah. Beast world.
So this entire sequence now, I think in the script it was like, okay, they're fighting them off. But we essentially just went really crazy and just did whatever for the sequence. So you'll find it was put together in post, and a lot of the words were added in to kind of explain what's going on.
Well, I just rolled, and we'd run out of time completely. I had about half an hour, and I had to be on stage, and so I just rolled, and
Rob just played.
Rob played, and I rolled, and then we swapped, and Rob rolled, and I played, and the result is what you see. The one snake gets taken out quite convincingly. You know, it goes through various phases of being grappled, getting thrown by roadblock, and ultimately shot by the 50 cal.
Yeah.
The other snake, we have no idea how it goes down, because honestly, the sequence wasn't planned enough to coherently know.
But it just looks awesome, though. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite parts of this entire story.
Yeah, we probably shot about 6 minutes of footage to create the sequence. Probably like a minute and a half made the final cut.
Yeah.
But that's actually a very good equation.
Yeah, if you
In
think about
filmic
it,
terms.
I mean, in big movies, they probably spend hours, days and days filming a scene.
Yes, we are still making comparisons between our little action figure drama and real feature film. Ha ha ha. Dream big, everybody. Dream big. And finally, Junk gets a time to shine. Up until now, he's basically just been creature comfort. But he saves the day. Firefly would have absolutely KO'd everybody. But it was Junk. Junk sniffed him out.
Where did Mike get that gun?
You don't want to know. But it could all still be lost. The Joes are hopelessly outgunned here. Until, of course,
This is also probably one of my favorite moments.
Deus
those guys
Ex
out.
Machina. Yeah, beautifully piloted by Rob. That was a superb shot. I mean, we didn't have time to set them up and go again. So it was like, get this right, Rob. Swipe them all and do it in a convincing fashion. And he did. My man knows how to deliver.
It's all those years of playing with toys.
There we go. I knew it was building to something, Robbie. Nice watch, by the way.
Thanks. I got it as a gift from a friend.
Cool.
You.
There's the tunnel.
Yes, that's the tunnel right at the back.
That's
there,
how you
guys.
gain access to the quarry. The Rattler. Or is it? What is it? It's got camo on it, but it's piloted by Wild Weasel and the Baroness.
So whenever you have these close-ups of the vehicles, you'll notice it looks like they're flying really nicely in the air. But Stephen has like a really fun trick to make it look like there's lots of motion going on there.
Oh, you want me to elaborate?
Yes, please.
Oh, no, you take this one, Robbie.
Well, he essentially gets very close up to it, and then he spins around.
Yep. Well, at least that way you got a smooth shot and you don't have this kind of like jolt of like walking.
Yeah. No, I think there were shots that we didn't use where we kind of ran with the vehicle. Oh no! You went off on your own, I think, and you kind of ran with the Sky Striker to kind of get the sense of motion and speed and stuff. And we looked at it afterwards, and it doesn't work. Like it bounces way too much.
This was a huge learning curve because, shooting action figures is one thing. Shooting two jets going head to head, it's something else.
Yeah.
To find shots that work versus shots that don't, I'd say you're basically seeing the best 10% of what we shot. We've got a lot of coverage, a lot of shots that just plainly looked awful, unusable.
Well, the great thing is, I mean, at least I think with our team, me and you, is that you like to film a lot and a lot and a lot. And I hope, at least, that I kind of rein that in to a certain degree.
This was an outtake. Like, I was just like, fly around. Like, I had no intention of this being used, but it was the most, I suppose, elongated shots of the two jets within the frame. Everything else was the one jet, and you don't get the same kind of relation between the two.
Yeah.
So while that looked a little bit perhaps half cooked,
well, if you just focus on the vehicles themselves, I think it looks really good. If you don't worry about us, but look at how the vehicles are moving through the
Yeah.
frame. It looks fantastic.
Well, lifetime of playing with toys right there.
So now we're slowly transitioning from our... Okay, we haven't left there yet, but from the quarry, we go on the road.
Yes, our furthest location.
Yes.
I decided for part 5 we had to let Cape Town show off a little bit more. And since it was gearing towards a sort of sunset duel, one of the best places to take in a sunset, where it's particularly uninterrupted, beautiful flat beach that faces the north, where the sun goes down when you're in the southern hemisphere. Duke's Comeuppance is coming. A place called Noordhoek. I'm surprised we didn't see a lot of people proposing that day because it was a spectacular sunset.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. What is also gorgeous is the fact that I managed to secure some excellent female voice talent on this episode.
Yes. Tell me, who were those people, actually?
The Baroness is played by Amy Ntuli, a friend of mine who I worked on a production called Cheers to Sarajevo with. She does Eastern European better than anyone else I know. And the voice of Lady J is none other than my sister.
Get him to call my bluff.
It's amazing, like, because I think before we did this, you were very, very reticent about doing the female voices. Because it was up to this point you've done all the voices, and all the sound effects, actually, if people were wondering.
All produced by mouth. Yeah, I suppose I was reticent about spreading the casting net too wide, and then also having that as another thing that could potentially delay the production of these videos. But I managed to hammer it out. I mean, I got them both recorded. I remember it was a Friday, and I wanted to release on the Sunday. And that all happened very quickly.
If you're wondering what those numbers are on Steven's arm, they're apparently the shot list. If you can decipher them, then you'll have a better idea of how we went about this than I did.
Yeah, so as I say, Cape Town showing off. I mean, there are more, perhaps, breathtaking vantage points, but we wanted to be right down by the water. And the cool thing about Noordhoek is there's a spit of sand separating the breakers of the sea from this little sort of rivulet.
Which is fantastic, because I think if the waves were really crashing there, we would never have been able to film in, it right on the edge of the water like that, like we do near the end of this.
You can see in the shadow, I kind of drop the Sky Striker as I run over to Rob. But, yeah, details. What an embarrassment to be knocked out of the sky by those piddly little guns. But wait, there's more bite left in the old Sky Striker. And this has got to be my favorite shot, just because we are just playing.
Yeah.
Neither of us have a camera. We're just going head to head. Now we both have cameras. Yeah, we did this a couple of times.
Engine 2 is dead. We must
And there goes Baroness and Wild Weasel.
Flame out.
Keep talking,
I hope they made it. I don't know.
this dead stick back to friendly.
Well, if they're able to nurse that plane back home, they've won up the Joes.
Damn.
I mean, it's evident that Ace is unable to right his plane and head back to the flag.
Scratch another expensive warplane, but good pilots are more expensive.
Another Deus Ex Machina. Lady J's ejection control system has been shot through.
What is it?
How that didn't blow a hole in her buttocks, or separate the two halves of her body as well.
Well, maybe it's like a ricochet of like shrapnel or something ripped through the mechanism. It didn't hit her directly. I hope not.
Ditching. For real this time.
She seems fine at the end.
Cut to the stunt striker.
Yeah, the modern Sky Striker, which we have no real love for.
And also I doctored it so that the wings can be out while the landing gear is still up.
Yes.
But yeah, it might jar a few purists out there to see the switch, but you know exactly why we did it. it's implied. I thought about having a little aside at that moment saying, stunt striker. But I'm pretty sure everyone put 2 and 2 together anyway.
And there's the whole reason why we went out there.
Where's Lady J's hand?
It's in front of aces. They're holding hands.
Where's Flint?
Back at base.
So, it's been pointed out to me that it is a bit of a cop-out, that we never find out what this mission was about. On this commentary, I'm allowed to divulge to you that it wasn't really about anything. It was essentially a struggle to survive in the ongoing fight against Cobra. I mean, that's essentially what this is all about. I mean, if you go one layer meta from that, you'll know that this thing was an evolution. It was a constantly shifting goalpost. And our guys just were responding to situations as they occurred organically, dynamically.
Yeah, they're just kind of moving along, like just trying to survive. And of course, each episode helps us feature a new toy, and just keep going with the story. So I hope everyone really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the process of making this. It was a nice change from the reviews. Even the reviews we obviously do get out for the majority of them, and we do kind of little sequences. This was, as we've said, it was like being a kid again, and I'm glad everyone enjoyed it.
And we will most certainly be doing more of these.
No, definitely.
And they will continue the plot, if you could call it a plot, of the Atlantis Factor, and perhaps retrospectively answer some of those burning questions. Very Larry Harmer style. But my name's Steve.
And I'm Robert.
This is GI Joburg, and we would love for you to donate a few dollars for our GoFundMe. The details are on the screen now.
Absolutely. Please help us as we go on our journey to the final JoeCon 2018 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thanks so much.